In the mountains north of Kyoto, a young warrior named Hiroshi stood before his master on the eve of his first real battle. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped his sword. The master noticed and smiled gently. "Tomorrow you will face enemies who have killed many men," the master said. "Yet tonight, you have already won 1,000 battles in your mind, or you have already died 1,000 deaths. Which warrior will you send into combat?" Hiroshi looked confused. "I do not understand, sensei. How can I have fought battles I have not yet experienced?" The master gestured for him to sit. "Close your eyes," he instructed. "Now tell me what you see on the battlefield tomorrow." Hiroshi closed his eyes and stammered, I see chaos. Swords flashing, men screaming, I see my own fear." "Good," the master replied. "You have taken the first step. You have looked directly at what frightens you. Now we will teach your mind to see what your body must do." Over the next several hours, the master guided Hiroshi through an ancient practice that samurai had used for centuries, a specific form of mental training that modern psychologists would later call visualization, but which the warriors knew as a matter of survival. By dawn, Hiroshi's hands no longer shook. He had fought the battle 100 times in his mind, and his body now knew exactly what to do. This story reveals a truth that modern science has only recently confirmed. The samurai understood that training tirelessly and visualizing what could happen in battle gave them a feeling of control in combat. But their visualization technique was not what most people imagine today. It was not about positive thinking or imagining perfect victories. It was something far more practical, far more powerful, and far more aligned with how the human mind actually prepares for high-stress situations. Today, we explore the exact visualization method that samurai warriors used before every battle, why it worked so effectively, and how you can apply this same technique to face the challenges in your modern life. The foundation of the samurai visualization practice rested on a concept they called preparing the spirit before preparing the body. The samurai understood that being a warrior was not only about physical strength, but required strong mental discipline to stay calm in battle, make wise decisions, and live with honor. Before any combat, before any duel, before any mission that could end in death, the samurai would sit in meditation and deliberately walk through the coming experience in their minds. But this was not daydreaming about glory. This was systematic mental rehearsal that followed specific steps, each designed to forge an unshakable warrior mind. The first step in samurai visualization was what they called facing the demon directly. Rather than avoiding thoughts of danger or pretending everything would go perfectly, the warrior deliberately imagined the worst possible scenarios. Really thinking about just how awful things can be often has the ironic effect of making you realize they are not that bad. A samurai preparing for battle would visualize his opponent being larger, faster, and more skilled than expected. He would imagine his initial attack failing. He would picture himself being wounded, knocked down, or surrounded by enemies. This practice, which seems counterintuitive to modern positive thinking approaches, served a critical purpose. It removed the element of shock and surprise. When you have already seen yourself fail in your mind, and then seen yourself recover and continue fighting, the actual experience of difficulty becomes manageable rather than overwhelming. Research shows that preparation reduces fear because when things get tense, you do not have to think, and the sort of people who survive catastrophic scenarios are those who prepare for the worst and practice ahead of time. The samurai knew this centuries before modern psychology proved it. By visualizing failure and recovery repeatedly, they trained their minds to remain calm and functional even when plans fell apart. Their prefrontal cortex, the thinking part of the brain, stayed online during stress because they maintained an internal sense of control through preparation. The second step involved what the warriors called mapping the battlefield within. Samurai would picture every move they needed to make and see themselves succeeding, creating mental rehearsal that made them more confident and calmer when they actually faced challenges. But this was not vague imagination. It was detailed, sensory-rich visualization that engaged every aspect of awareness. A samurai would sit in meditation and mentally place himself on the actual ground where combat would occur. He would visualize the terrain, the position of the sun, the direction of the wind. He would imagine the weight of his armor, the feel of his sword grip, the sound of his own breathing. He would then slowly walk through the entire sequence of combat in his mind, not just seeing it from outside like watching a movie, but experiencing it from inside his own body. feeling his feet plant on the ground, sensing the twist of his hips as he struck, hearing the clash of steel, noticing the shift of his opponent's weight that would signal an opening. Modern neuroscience has discovered something remarkable about this kind of detailed visualization. The practice of visualization involves more than mere wishful thinking, but is a strategic exercise in honing mental acuity by pre-visualizing success, strategizing flows, and anticipating moves. When you visualize an action with sufficient detail, your brain activates many of the same neural pathways that fire during actual physical performance. Your muscles receive subtle activation signals. Your nervous system rehearses the timing and coordination. Your brain literally practices the skill without your body moving. The samurai were unknowingly using this principle to program their neuromuscular system for combat. By the time they entered actual battle, their bodies had already performed these movements hundreds of times in mental practice. The actions became more automatic, more fluid, more precise. The third step in the visualization process involved something the samurai called rehearsing the recovery. This might be the most crucial and most overlooked element of their mental training. It was not enough to visualize success. It was not even enough to visualize difficulty. The warrior had to visualize how he would respond to unexpected problems and how he would return to center after being thrown off balance. In meditation, a samurai would imagine making a strike and having it blocked or countered. Then he would visualize his immediate next move, his recovery, his adaptation. He would imagine being wounded and continuing to fight through pain. He would visualize feeling fear rising in his chest and then using breath control to calm himself mid-combat. He would picture making a mistake and immediately flowing into a different technique without hesitation or self-judgment. This mental rehearsal of recovery taught the warrior's mind that setbacks were not endings, but simply moments within a larger flow. Problems were not catastrophes, but opportunities to apply different skills. This mindset, forged through repeated visualization, made samurai incredibly adaptable and resilient in actual combat. The fourth step was what they called anchoring the spirit. After visualizing both difficulties and recoveries, the samurai would spend time in meditation, focusing on the deeper purpose behind his actions. He would connect the coming battle to his code of honor, his duty to his lord, his service to his family and clan. Zen meditation practices like Zazen helped samurai train their minds to stay calm even during chaos, clearing away distractions and maintaining strong inner focus. This was not motivational self-talk. It was a deep remembering of values that transcended personal survival. By anchoring his actions to something larger than himself, the warrior reduced the paralysis that comes from self-concern. Fear loses much of its power when you are not fighting primarily to protect yourself, but to fulfill a duty you consider sacred. Modern soldiers, firefighters, and emergency responders report similar experiences. When they focus on their mission and the people they serve rather than their own safety, they often find courage they did not know they possessed. The fifth and final step in samurai visualization was the practice of releasing attachment to outcome. After all the detailed mental rehearsal, after imagining both success and failure, after visualizing recovery and reconnecting to purpose, the warrior would spend time letting go of any preference for how things would unfold. This might seem contradictory after all that preparation, but it represents the culmination of the entire practice. The samurai understood a profound truth about performance under pressure. The more tightly you grip the need for a specific outcome, the more rigid and reactive you become. But when you prepare thoroughly and then release attachment to results, you enter a state of fluid readiness. You can respond to whatever actually happens rather than being locked into what you expected to happen. Samurai used controlled breathing to calm themselves down in the heat of the moment, lowering heart rate and keeping minds clear for the best decisions. They combined this breathwork with the mental practice of acceptance. After visualizing all possibilities, they would breathe deeply and internally bow to whatever fate would bring. This was not fatalism or resignation. It was warrior's pragmatism. You control what you can control: your preparation, your response, your adherence to your code. You release what you cannot control: the actions of others, the outcomes of battle, life, and death itself. When we examine this complete 5-step visualization process, we see why it was so extraordinarily effective. It combined mental rehearsal with emotional regulation. It prepared for both success and failure. It created detailed neural pathways while also maintaining psychological flexibility. It connected immediate actions to transcendent purpose. It built confidence through preparation while avoiding the brittleness of overconfidence. Modern research into peak performance has discovered that these elements, the very elements samurai wove together centuries ago, are essential for maintaining excellence under pressure. Studies of elite athletes, special forces operators, and high-performing professionals consistently show that those who perform best in high-stress situations share certain mental practices. They prepare thoroughly, they visualize both success and potential problems, they practice their response to difficulty, and they maintain a sense of control through preparation. The samurai were applying these same principles long before modern psychology existed. But there is something deeper here worth understanding. The samurai visualization practice was not just a technique for better performance. It was a spiritual discipline that shaped their entire relationship with fear, difficulty, and mortality. By regularly sitting in meditation and deliberately facing their own death in imagination, by visualizing defeat and recovery, by practicing the acceptance of outcomes they could not control, the samurai were training themselves to live with what Zen Buddhism calls beginner's mind. This is the ability to meet each moment fresh, without being trapped by expectations or paralyzed by fear. The daily practice of this visualization transformed not just combat effectiveness, but the warrior's entire consciousness. Over time, a samurai who practiced this way would find that he no longer needed as much time in formal visualization. The mental patterns became integrated into his being. He would naturally assess terrain and imagine possibilities. He would automatically prepare for difficulties while remaining calm and centered. He would act from duty and honor without internal conflict. The visualization practice had rewired his default mental state. Modern neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new patterns through repeated practice. Successful visualization in modern contexts requires specificity and focus, mirroring the demand for a clear and unwavering mental picture, and carving out quiet moments for this practice aids in building a robust mindset. The samurai were practical neuroplasticity engineers, using meditation and mental rehearsal to literally reshape their brains for courage, clarity, and effective action. So how can you apply this ancient samurai visualization practice to the challenges you face in modern life? The battles you fight may not involve swords, but they require the same mental qualities: calm under pressure, clear thinking in chaos, the ability to recover from setbacks, the courage to act despite uncertainty. The samurai method works for these challenges just as effectively as it worked on ancient battlefields. Start with the first step, facing the demon directly. Before any important presentation, difficult conversation, job interview, or challenging project, sit quietly and deliberately imagine things going wrong. Visualize yourself making mistakes, facing unexpected questions, encountering resistance or criticism. Do not shy away from these images. Look at them clearly. Then, and this is crucial, visualize yourself handling these difficulties calmly. See yourself pausing, breathing, thinking, and responding effectively. By pre-experiencing failure in your mind and then imagining your composed response, you remove much of failure's emotional charge. When difficulties actually arise, your mind recognizes them as familiar territory you have already navigated successfully in mental rehearsal. Move to the second step, mapping the battlefield within. If you have an important event approaching, spend time visualizing it in rich sensory detail. If it is a presentation, mentally place yourself in the actual room. Visualize the audience, the lighting, the sound of your own voice, the feel of the remote control in your hand. Walk through your entire presentation in your mind, including pauses for questions, transitions between sections, your opening and closing. Make this mental rehearsal as vivid and detailed as possible. The more realistic your visualization, the more your brain treats it as actual practice. Your neural pathways strengthen. Your confidence builds on a foundation of mental repetition. Practice the third step, rehearsing the recovery. In your visualization, do not just imagine everything flowing perfectly. Imagine your technology failing and see yourself smoothly transitioning to backup plans. Imagine forgetting a key point and visualize yourself pausing, gathering your thoughts, and continuing without appearing flustered. Imagine receiving a hostile question and see yourself taking a breath, acknowledging the questioner, and responding thoughtfully. By mentally practicing recovery from setbacks, you train your mind that problems are manageable interruptions, not catastrophes. This mental pattern of resilience becomes automatic with practice. Apply the fourth step, anchoring the spirit. Connect whatever challenge you face to something that matters beyond your immediate success or failure. If you are giving a presentation, remember that your real purpose is to serve your audience with valuable information. If you are having a difficult conversation, focus on your commitment to honesty and respect for the relationship. If you are competing in something, connect to your love of the activity itself or your desire to honor those who trained you. This broader perspective reduces performance anxiety and gives you something stable to return to when stress rises. Finally, practice the fifth step, releasing attachment to outcome. After thorough preparation and visualization, deliberately let go of rigid expectations. Breathe deeply and internally accept that you cannot control how others respond, how circumstances unfold, or what the final results will be. You can only control your own preparation, presence, and adherence to your values. This release is not giving up. It is the warrior's wisdom of focusing energy only on what you can actually influence. When you release attachment to specific outcomes, you paradoxically perform better because you are not fighting against reality, but dancing with it. The samurai understood something that our modern culture often forgets. Courage is not the absence of fear. Confidence is not certainty about outcomes. Excellence is not about never failing. True warrior spirit comes from facing difficulty directly, preparing thoroughly, and then acting with calm resolve whatever may come. The visualization practice they developed was not about creating an illusion of control over uncontrollable things. It was about developing genuine mastery over the only thing any warrior truly controls, the state of their own mind and the quality of their own response. That is the real battle. That is the victory that matters. Today is your victory over yourself of yesterday, as the ancient text teaches. Tomorrow is your victory over lesser versions of who you could become. You do not need to face life and death combat to benefit from this wisdom. You simply need to recognize that every challenging situation you face is an opportunity to apply the samurai's mental method. Visualize difficulties as well as successes. Rehearse recovery as well as performance. Anchor actions to purpose. Release attachment to outcomes you cannot control. Do this consistently, and over time you will notice something remarkable. The challenges that once paralyzed you with anxiety begin to feel like familiar territory. Your mind stays clearer under pressure. Your recovery from setbacks becomes faster. You discover reserves of calm and courage you did not know you possessed. This is not because you have become a different person. It is because you have trained your mind the way warriors have trained for centuries. One visualization at a time. One mental rehearsal at a time. One practice of releasing fear and reconnecting to purpose. So take a lesson from the warrior Hiroshi standing before his master on the eve of battle. The external challenge you face tomorrow is far less important than the internal preparation you do today. Sit quietly. Face your demons directly. Walk through your battlefield in mind. Rehearse your recoveries. Remember your purpose. Release your attachment. Then stand up and walk forward with the calm clarity of a warrior who has already won the only battle that truly matters, the victory over their own mind. And write in comments that I will master samurai visualization in 7 days. Thank you for watching.